Let's Science is brought to you by the Star Quest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
3, 2, 1.
We live in a universe of scientific wonders.
Every day, scientists are inching towards breakthroughs which can change our lives.
We're playing our small part in sharing these wonders with you.
That's why today is a fine day for science.
So let's science.
For our science topic today, we've got a couple of different topics, just a mishmash of some interesting science bites we thought we'd share with everyone. Now, the first one, just to coincide with NIDOC Week, which we did an acknowledgement of at the beginning of this episode. The first one is about an asteroid named after an Aboriginal elder. So can you tell us what's happening with that story?
Yeah, so I loved this story. I really wanted to put it in our science segment today. So there's been an asteroid named in honour of Aboriginal elder Ghillar Michael Anderson for his contribution to astronomy. So he's actually been interested in astronomy since he was a child. He says his nan and pop used to tell him stories about the stars and the different stories about them, you know, the indigenous stories. He is a ULA elder. I'm really sorry about my pronunciation if I'm not saying it correctly, from Goodagga in northwest New South Wales. And he's been recognised for his contribution to the understanding of First Nations in astronomy. And the First Nations people of our country have a lot of stories about the Milky Way, constellations in the sky, and there's actually evidence of the traditional knowledge going back at least about 12,000 years. So it's quite an extensive knowledge in their culture. So his name was put forward to the IAU, so the International Astronomical Union, which we all know and love for putting reclassifying Pluto as a dwarf planet. I will never let that one go.
No, never.
Yes, but anyway, that was an aside. So his name was put forward to have the asteroid named after him by Associate Professor of Cultural Astronomy at Melbourne University, Dwayne Haymaker. So he recognised his contribution to astronomy, and he's got to be named after an asteroid now called 1004 Ghillar, which is 2.7 kilometres in diameter, and it's currently between Jupiter and Mars. And this asteroid was first found in 1984 by Czech scientists. Mr. Anderson says that the recognition was a great honour, and the Aboriginal people had a lot to contribute to the study of space. He says it was a bit of a shock first, but proud to be one of the First Nations people in the world to have an asteroid named after them, and that's truly well deserved. He says, we have a lot to teach Australia and the rest of the world, and now people are just starting to realise that. And he also makes a good point. Thank goodness our old people didn't let it all die and left a lot of knowledge behind for us to pass on to generations, and I think Australia would benefit a lot from it. He's worked with an associate of Professor Dwayne. His name is Dr. Robert Fuller. He's worked with him for a number of years and contributed to filming of a documentary about Aboriginal astronomical knowledge, and he's also helped to document the star knowledge, by talking to professors and such. So I found through a website called aboriginalaastronomy.com.au, they actually made a little documentary. I couldn't find the full documentary, but from the snippet, it was so interesting because he talked about how at nighttime they do nighttime ceremonies as well as ceremonies during the day. And where they are at nighttime, they can see the full Milky Way. They can see everything, all the stars.
Yeah.
And they said they do that so they know the world around them. So it's not just the daytime world they know. There's also the nighttime world. They
Amazing.
can see everything night and day. So they know what's there in the night and in the day. And they see the emu spirit in the Milky Way, which is also a water spirit. When they see Venus rise in the sky, and you know how it cycles through. When they see it first appear in the sky, they know that that's when the time to light the fires. So, you know, in Australia we have a problem with bushfires. Well, they used to manage the fires by lighting scrub fires so that they don't get those full-blown fires, and it regenerates the land. You know, there are certain seeds that can only germinate after their capsules kind of thing have been, how do you say, burnt open. You know, the fire will open it up, and then the seed comes out, and then it can germinate. You know, our Indigenous people have the relationship between the sky and the seasons and the land, you know, so they have this extensive knowledge that we don't have, you know. I mean, we have our scientific instruments, we have, you know, we're able to have all this fancy knowledge, but they have a different knowledge as well. You know, and I reckon that if we put the scientific knowledge with the cultural knowledge together, we just learn so much more about the earth, you know. So
you can't beat 12,000 years of experience.
No, I mean,
and that's what it is. It is experience. They had very
Yes.
advanced agriculture. People say, you know, oh, they were just
Yes.
nomads. That is that's nonsense. They weren't
No.
nomads.
It is,
Their
yeah.
agriculture was actually very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It wasn't the traditional agriculture that was understood by people at the time, but it was all, based on everything that you said.
Yeah.
Based on their knowledge of the lands, based on their knowledge of the seasons, which would
Yeah.
be linked to their knowledge of space and the stars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's amazing. And I just thought I'd just read a couple of things off their off this website to explain, you know, a little bit about the dreaming and their interpretation of, you know, a few of these celestial things that we see in the sky. So the Southern Cross, you know, it's very here down in Australia, the Southern Cross is prominent in the sky. So it says here the Southern Cross is important in ceremony. It has a strong link to the story of when the first man died, and the dark space, they call it a coal sack, is the hole in the dead tree, the Yaran or Gulabar, depending on language group, through which Bullimar is reached. The pointer star, Alpha and Beta Centauri, are two cockatoos, Murray and Muye, who were roosting in the tree when it was lifted into the sky. In the same area as a star, Alpha Muscae, which is the large Federation star on the Australian flag. This is the camp of the culture hero Bayami, which is now kept by one of his wives and is the place where everyone goes before going to Bullimar. Women with children on the earth stay here until they are joined by their last daughter. Another star in the region, Canopus, is called Wamba, crazy, perhaps because it twinkles near the horizon. And so that's pretty cool. The Milky Way, other than the moon, the brightest object in the night sky is the Milky Way, which can stretch from horizon to horizon in the dark sky. From the ULA people, this is Warrnambool, meaning watercourse or river, and the place where everything once was until the universe was turned upside down and everything ended up on Earth. Many of the creation beings are still to be found in Warrnambool, and many objects and stories have mirror places on Earth. Behind the Milky Way is Bullimar, the sky camp where persons go after their life on Earth. So yeah, I mean, these are just beautiful explanations that they have come up with, you know, in their culture. And yeah, like we were talking about, the beautiful connection between the sky and the earth and their management of land and everything else. So yeah, I really wanted to highlight that this week because there is how do you say, white astronomy, I guess you could call it. I don't want to be bringing anything racial into it, but I'm just saying astronomy that we learn at school, and then there's beautiful cultural astronomy, which I'd love to. It's so nice. I actually want to read more about that because it's just I think we can learn a lot from our Indigenous people.
there's a strong connection between faith and science that I can see there as well from the indigenous, just the indigenous perspective alone. Before we bring European, classical science in there,
Yes.
with their understanding of, again, the stars and how it's connected to seasons and how they, add imagery, and then they added an overlay of faith on top of that as well. So we talk about faith and science from the Catholic tradition and how they have a beautiful connection, but you can see it in indigenous tradition as well. Again, how faith and science, so across different cultures, they can all experience that same beauty as well. And I think that's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move to a more local planet then. We've been all over the Milky Way. Let's jump to Mars because now we've had detections of methane gas on Mars. So what's happening there? And is it a signal of life, Caroline?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but we've been detecting.
No, because methane is always like, everyone's like, oh, methane, life,
Well, yes,
Yeah.
no, I mean, you're right about that, but I'm not sure about the life theory on Mars yet because they're not sure. But, there's Curiosity rover on Mars, and since about 2012, it's actually been detecting methane repeatedly, and it's been going from background levels from about 0.5 parts per billion, and sometimes surges up to 20 parts per billion. It's been using its TLS instrument, which is a tunable laser spectrometer, to measure these. And, like you said, it could be a possible biosignature gas. So they've been puzzled though, because they weren't sure. There's an orbiter that went on board in 2016, and that was actually able to measure methane up in the atmosphere of Mars, and they weren't able to actually detect it. So they were wondering, why are we detecting it on surface and why are we not detecting it, and then I read in the article, they did every single thing they could do to kind of find, where is this methane coming from? Is it from the rover itself somehow? Let's try and find everything we can. And then they decided, well, let's do these detections, every day. And they found out that basically Mars kind of at nighttime pulls on the surface of Mars, and then during the day it kind of dissipates as the sun comes up. The atmosphere warms up and the methane dissipates into the atmosphere. But it's still very hard to detect it in the upper atmosphere. So they're just kind of wondering, how's it formed, first of all? So it's seeping out of the rocks. Life, question mark? Yeah. Something geological happening, question mark? We're not sure. And why is it disappearing into the atmosphere? So is it broken down by other molecules? Is it destroyed by the sun? We're not sure. So we're at that point at the moment. Very interesting. So yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah. So to add on to that, Caroline, I was looking at another story about Enceladus, which is the moon, one of the really fascinating moons of Saturn.
Favorite moon ever. Yes.
Yeah, probably one of the most fascinating moons in our entire solar system, because this is the one that has big geysers of, water. What is it? Not exactly water, but it shoots out geysers anyway.
It's got oceans under its icy caps.
Cool.
For sure. So it's all water mixed in with all these. I'll let you do it.
But this originally, when it was discovered, this blew people's minds because Cassini was sending imagery back, and they're like, what is this stuff shooting out of this moon? What's going on here? And it was geysers of water that shoot out into space. And so anyway, they've detected methane as well on Enceladus, and now they're trying to work out if this could be signs of life as well. And it's 50-50 now, so it could be or it couldn't be. But what's interesting about Enceladus, like you mentioned, is that under that big layer of ice on the surface is a liquid ocean of something, and in fact they're talking about missions. I've seen in years past about creating submarine-like probes that could be sent there. That could be, dropped on the surface. The nose or the body could heat up incredibly to melt the ice, and it just, moves through the ice and gets into the ocean and, swims around and starts, doing testing
all the fish
and detecting.
under the sea.
Yeah, all the fish aliens like, what's this? I've never seen this before. But so they are trying to work out if it's possible that there is signs of life through methane, or what is generating this methane. So there's a couple of theories. So first of all, Cassini, the probe that was launched in that got to Saturn by 2005 anyway, it spotted lots of compounds, in the atmosphere, including dihydrogen, which, from my understanding, is it's a molecule which is 2 atoms of hydrogen. I hope I'm correct about that. that was my one and only Jimmy Akin moment. And a variety of carbon-containing organic compounds as well, including methane. So there's a couple of theories. One is there are microbes that are eating, like some of these hydrogens and whatever else, at the dihydrogen, and producing methane, and that could be it. Or the methane could just be being produced by sort of leftover, organic matter that came from asteroids and whatever else. So they are trying to work out if this could be a sign of life, and I guess more missions are going to have to happen. But this was the conclusion that they said. So 2 things. It partly, could there be life or not? It partly boils down to how probable we believe the different hypotheses are to begin with. For example, if we deem the probability of life in Enceladus to be extremely low, then such an alternative abiotic mechanisms, which was that organic matter I was talking about, becomes more likely, even if they are very alien compared to what we know here on Earth. That being said, biological methanogenesis appears to be compatible with the data as well. In other words, we can't discard the life hypothesis as improbable. To reject the life hypothesis, we need more data from future missions. So it's possible that it could be some kind of life on Enceladus. It's also possible that it could just be methane being produced by by organic matter as well. But they can't rule out either at the moment and say this is definitely what it is. So that is very cool.
Yes. I wish they'd send that thing over.
Oh, please, just get it over there. Come on. Just shoot that probe over and tell us what's going on. Yeah,
totally.
Put us out of our misery.
Yeah.
So, guys, you know about methane. When I think about methane, I think you guys all will think, just remember this. I always think of methane gas. Is that the same thing, guys? Is that a dangerous chemical?
No, that's just a byproduct from life. Like we think of cows. Okay. Every cows produce methane. That's why we have...
Okay.
It's an environmental issue here because it is biologically produced, so it's definitely a gas.
Right. Okay. Understand.
Well, it's a gas on Earth. On Titan, there's rivers of methane, so it depends on what environment it's in. To be honest.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like that song by the rivers of methane. No,
that wouldn't be pleasant. But anyway,
no, it would be very unpleasant.
Okay, understand.
Right. So we just had a couple of very short ones, and the first one to add this little footnote is billionaires in space. So this month, now by the time this podcast comes out, a lot of this might have already happened, but there are 2 billionaires this month who are vying to be the first billionaire and human being to be a tourist in space, to be part of an official space tourism mission.
I'm sorry, how can a billionaire be a tourist? Like, really?
True. Come on. No, it's probably more like a real estate. It's like, oh, there's the moon. Oh, I'll buy that.
I'll just buy that. Yeah, I was about to say, hell is that?
Just
having like a space auction. Yeah. Shrink it. Put it into like a little ball.
Yeah.
I'm sure Richard Branson has some minions somewhere to help him out. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, banana. But anyway, so Richard Branson very, very soon, imminently, is going to be flying on his Virgin Galactic flight on the VSS Unity, which is their spaceship. And so basically it gets taken up on their plane, which the name I can't recall now, but it's this giant looking, I forgot now, but the spaceship is VSS or Virgin Spaceship.
I saw it this morning and I forgot immediately.
Yeah. But anyway, this will fly them up to a height, in Earth's lower atmosphere-ish, and then from there they'll launch they'll launch Unity, and I've watched a couple of their test flights already, which are pretty amazing. It just drops and you hear them go fire, 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 and the engine ignites, and it's like a first stage engine that takes them into 100 kilometers above the Earth, which is the Kármán line, which is the official recognition of being in space. So that's billionaire number 1. So and
that's tomorrow. July 11.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So tomorrow at time of recording. Yeah, that's right. I forgot it was so soon.
Oh,
Then at the end of the month, in the July 20 something, we then have Jeff Bezos, founder
coming
of...
second.
Coming in second place, founder of Amazon. I should also say that Richard Branson's flight will have passengers. So it's not just him. It's the first flight with more passengers than just a test.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. When you guys sent me that
clip... Can't help being nervous.
Yeah, I'm nervous. I know you saw the messages I was saying.
Yeah.
It felt like a reality ad. Come
Yeah, it
on,
is a
guys.
reality show. Space
Yeah, they're walking
reality.
down
That was
you know,
advertising, yeah.
They're walking very, slowly, and all of a sudden this is like a what is it? A detail of them, the age, the name,
Yes.
what the profession. It's like a reality.
Yeah.
Oh, so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah, and the reason
Cool.
they're doing commercial advertisements is because this is a business. They actually
Business,
are launching
exactly.
space tourism, and Virgin
Exactly.
Galactic actually floated on the stock market in the United States. So
Whoa.
they are very serious about this
yes.
taking off. Excuse the pun, but you know what I mean. Going to orbit. It's going orbital. And the other billionaire is the founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, who has filled my house with certain devices that I can't say their names because they'll go off.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Yep,
yeah.
yep.
So Jeff Bezos on the New Shepard. So this is a rocket that is a reusable rocket. So it can launch. It goes above the Kármán line. It's 2 stages. So the first stage takes it up. Then the capsule with people separates. They get to float around, experience weightlessness for a couple of minutes, and see the Earth from space. And then the first stage comes back and lands itself, just like the SpaceX Falcon rockets. And the capsule will float back to Earth, and then deploy parachutes and hit the ground. Well, land on the ground, I should say.
Oh,
hit the ground. Yeah,
Oh, no, yeah.
just like we would see in astronauts returning from the International Space Station. So very much like that. So a couple of billionaires who are trying to get their names as astronauts, and this also will have passengers. So Jeff Bezos is taking his brother. He's also taking I forgot her name now. Oh, I'm gonna have a mental blank. Anyway, she's this woman who is an experienced pilot. She can fly anything and everything. She's in her old age, and she sounds as confident as ever that she could pick up any plane and fly it. But she never got to be an astronaut. So now they are going to make her an astronaut. Yeah,
Awesome.
which is awesome. So looking forward to those and hoping they go well. I
Yeah,
know there was a
yeah.
joke. There was someone made a petition for Jeff Bezos to not return after he goes to space. But I know, funny, but at the same time, we do hope. Yeah, we do hope it goes well because we're talking about human lives here as well.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Absolutely.
So when is Elon Musk going to go to space?
I think he's happy to stay here. He's happy
No?
sending
Yeah.
everyone else to space.
Oh no, I was going to say, look, got 3 billionaires. What am I? One more billionaire going into space.
Yeah, no doubt he'll go to space at some point when Starship is, but
When
you
he
wouldn't
can
want to
see
ride
it's
on a Starship
working
now.
well.
Yeah, they're not quite there. But Starship is it's a big operation
Oh,
compared
my
to what these
goodness.
two are. This is
I can imagine that you guys, Elon Musk go, can you give me a ticket on Vision? Press again. Elon, really? Fly a my ship? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
And I'll buy your business while I'm at it.
Yes.
I'll take
He would
two.
be able to afford it, would he? I don't
Business
know.
class.
Yeah. There was a joke that Elon Musk tried to buy a ticket for what's it for not Amazon. What am I talking about? Yeah, for Blue Origin. Sorry, it took me a while to get to that. Yeah, Blue Origin's thing. There was a joke about that. I just want to see. You know what I really want to see? I just want to see Jeff Bezos stand next to the rocket and say, "Alexa, launch the rocket."
Oh, no,
That'd be good.
yes.
Yeah.
Alexa, launch.
Yes. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Sorry, everyone. I hope you.
No, I was
Oh,
saying
Lindsay.
it.
Yeah.
Good one.
Okay. I've just launched about
lady.
10,000 rockets around the world. Whoops.
Yeah.
Countdown 30.
You've launched the whole lot.
Yeah. I hope that doesn't do anything in anyone's home. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's Science is brought to you by StarQuest Media and is a fortnightly podcast that brings you the scientific wonders of our universe from a distinctly Catholic point of view. For more from Caroline, Lindsay, and friends, listen to the StarQuest show, Catholics of Oz. Find links from today's show at sqpn.com/science and find the Catholics of Oz at sqpn.com/Oz. Be sure to follow the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever you can find podcasts, or on the SQPN YouTube channel. The generous donations of our patrons at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue Let's Science and all the shows at StarQuest, which makes our nonprofit mission possible. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. Join us next time for more scientific wonders, and thank you for listening to Let's Science on StarQuest.